we are out in Miami, and when I say we, I mean Marianne and I, filming at the Miami Yacht Show, and my best man in Florida is Bob Denison. Bob Denison is the reason that we're here.
Are we shaking hands? I didn't know what that.
No.
You were just presenting me.
I was gesticulating.
Okay, sorry.
But we'll just go with it.
That's another word I have never heard. Gesticulating.
Really?
Yeah.
This is an education for you, isn't
and
it?
gesticulating.
Yeah. She was talking about her voluminous hair a second ago, and now it's just a lot of big words.
I just feel, can I shake your hand now as well?
Yes.
And just for the sake of completeness,
Of
it's
course.
lovely to be spending time with you.
Always.
You guys are great at this.
No.
Very
I said,
professional, very
this has got to be
slick.
professional. Yeah. When I was first thinking about coming to America to film boats, I spoke to Bob. Bob is a huge fan of AQUAHOLIC, I think it's fair to say.
True.
And Bob said to me, if you come to America, I would guarantee you 10 boats. And we came to America, and Bob came up with 10 really great boats for us to film.
Yep.
And Bob is now my absolute first port of call, and has become, I think, a good friend, I like to think.
For sure.
And we thought it'd be great to introduce you guys to Bob, and we want to get to the man behind the beard. And
Yes.
I think the first question is going to come from Marianne.
It's very, very important. This has
Okay.
haunted me now for 4 months.
Okay.
So I had the great privilege of meeting you at Fort Lauderdale, and that was
Yep.
lovely. And we came to your Denison party, and that was great fun. We went out for dinner afterwards.
Yep.
And you did all of that with such aplomb, but no shoes.
That's true.
And it has haunted me since then. Did you ever find your shoes?
I did find my shoes 3 days later, which is unbelievable. Yeah, so we left. It was a cool thing, right? We escaped the party
Yeah.
on a private tender, went to this cool yacht club,
Yeah.
and the whole time I was without shoes, but I don't think I realized it until halfway through, right when we were walking.
You were
into the
definitely
yacht club.
getting,
Yeah.
exactly.
You were
going into
concerned they could
dinner.
let you in.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Because it's quite a pot.
So then, no, it's true. A few days later, I walked by a boat, and somebody said, "Are you missing shoes?" And somehow it was like a
Wow.
Cinderella type of a moment.
Is that because the shoes were bright yellow or bright orange?
Very boring shoes.
Okay.
What
I'm impressed then that they managed to match the man with his shoes.
Yes, exactly. And I think
But I'm pleased.
I think what it was they somehow recognized the pants with the shoes. They never match. They were like, "That's the guy."
Yeah.
Mismatching
Well,
shoes,
I'm going to
so.
have a lot more restful nights now.
Yes.
What I did love that night as well, we're walking into this beautiful place. We did a gorgeous meal as well. You said, "Oh, I've got no shoes," and Danny, your gorgeous wife, did a most impressive eye roll. I thought,
She's really good at that.
applaud that woman. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is a
she's
woman who
really
has
good at
seen
that.
some tough times.
Yep, she has. She's perfected the eye
Yeah,
roll.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah. Marianne can actually get hers to go 360 degrees on me. That's quite impressive.
No, but I think that's more of a demonic.
Put it on Bob. Perfect. Okay, I think now we've really thoroughly gone through the whole shoe thing. We ought to perhaps
Yep.
explain who Bob is.
Oh, maybe. No,
And talk a bit about boats and stuff.
Oh, me.
So Bob heads up, I think it's fair to say, Denison Yachts. You're the man behind Denison Yachts.
Yes.
And I think the thing with Denison Yachts, the reason that I actually got in touch with Bob on day one was because Bob was doing, and he was the only broker to be doing this at the time. And we're going back now, right when I started doing YouTube stuff, so 2016, Bob was doing these amazing, amazing videos of yachts. And nobody else was doing it. There was drone shots, there's action shots. They were beautifully produced.
Yep.
And they were the best broker videos I've ever seen. And I think that has been a hallmark for me of Denison Yachts, that you guys are absolutely on the front foot with regard to the whole social media and all that kind of stuff. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair. The only thing I would say is when you give me credit for it, it's the people that actually do it. So I might have an idea, and we actually get a lot of our ideas from the real estate industry or automotive.
Okay.
And so we look at what great car company's doing or a real estate company's doing, and we try to bring that in. And so what we did one time was a guy named Sean Wilkes, and he was an intern, and we bought a drone for I think like $80 at the time. Do you remember how exciting drones were when they
Oh
first
my
came
God.
out?
Yeah,
It was like,
totally.
how is this going to change everything? And we bought it. We didn't know what we were doing. And this intern named Sean, actually who became our videographer later and still is doing it, just started figuring it out. And so he'd take a broker. The first one is horrible. I need to share it with you. It is so bad the broker actually demanded that we remove it.
No way.
Yeah, we had this elegant piano. We just tried too hard to be
Yeah.
too, what's the word? I don't know, just it was horrible. And then we just kept going and going and going and going, and it worked out. And we love just to try new things and see if we can engage with people in a different way.
Yeah, and it works. And if we rewind then right back to the beginning, so how did Denison Yachting and you start? What was the roots of it all?
So when I say we, way before I was born, in 1948, my grandparents were on their honeymoon. They got married from Michigan. They came down to Fort Lauderdale, and on their honeymoon, they met a guy who was leaving town, like a lot of people were then, because there was back-to-back huge hurricanes. It just knocked the power out and killed some people and flooded the streets and destroyed businesses. And he's like, I'm getting out of here. And my grandfather somehow struck a deal with him, and they bought a boatyard. And from
As
that,
you do on honeymoon. I mean, who hasn't done that?
I wasn't allowed to check my emails, and he somehow was allowed to start this. And my grandmother was extremely involved with the operation of it, and they ended up buying a place called Dooley's Landing. They renamed it Broward Marine, which is the county north of us here in Miami, and they just started building minesweepers for the post-war effort to clean up all the minesweepers. When that contract ended, they started building private yachts. And I can't take credit for any of this, but from then until the late 90s, they were the largest producer of yachts in the world.
Wow.
Very proud of that.
It's amazing to think about, isn't it?
And then when I graduated university in 1999, they sadly sold the company. I thought that's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing, because I would have been horrible at building boats. I can hardly change the oil in my car. I don't even know I said hardly. I can't do anything that requires a tool. So it was a blessing.
See, it's not just me.
Yeah, it's not just you.
I'm going to check out his hands soon. They're really soft, like baby's hands.
They're soft. Yeah, I haven't. It's just this and the keyboard. That's it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we pivoted after that. Started a brokerage company.
So that business was sold, and you started a fresh business.
Sort of, yeah. It was, so my dad, I have to give him, my dad and uncles were extremely involved in the industry as well, and we pivoted into brokerage sales back in 2001.
Wow.
And
so not long ago, really. 20 years. Just over.
22 years.
Wow.
And but yeah, we grew over a few decades slowly. Sometimes it seems like it was fast, but it was a slow grind of a thing. And yeah, and now we just over time, like these two guys filming us, you just attract really good people to work at your company, and the rest kind of takes care of itself.
And how many offices have you got now?
We have 23 offices, and our latest office is in Monaco, which is our first European office, and our next office after that's going to be in the UK somewhere. So
wow, fantastic.
That is brilliant.
Cool.
Yeah.
And how many employees?
We have 220 employees and brokers.
That's astonishing. From a
Yeah.
standing start 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And-
So.
And it's interesting that you think that was at times, and of course it was a grind. You know,
Yeah.
it was hard work getting there, but actually 22 years is nothing. It's such a,
Yeah.
I know it wasn't from a standing start, we had everything before, but
For sure.
what an astonishing story.
But I've been in brokerage, and I know I've did it for 20 years.
Yep.
And I never, that never happened to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, that is unusual to go from that to that in 20 years in brokerage. I don't know anybody else who's done it.
Yeah, it was a long grind, but it's just like with the things that you do that are fun and you're passionate about it, and especially if you combine it with just loving people and enjoying just being around good people, getting you to the places you want to go. The 20-something years goes by really quick.
And it's interesting you say, like, and the whole point of this interview is to make you cry, but we're not doing very well with that, and I'm going to give you some compliments now. It does shine out of you, your passion for boating and your passion for people.
Yeah.
And those are two lovely, lovely things, because there's nothing humans want more than to be wanted and liked and appreciated and cared for, and you give that off in spades. In
well, I
that
mean,
vibe.
it's really easy to do, and I'm not just saying this, but we get to work with that 200-something people. They're the best. And so for me, in our industry, if there was one thing that's annoying to me about the yachting industry, especially our side of it on the bigger boats, it tends to be, and not always, but there can be this like pretentious, and even if you walk down the display sometimes, you don't know if you feel welcome. Am I allowed in there? Do I need to make an appointment? Can I bring my kid on board? And that's one of the things that we really wanted to do differently, is to make sure that not only are you welcome aboard, but we are really freaking happy you're here. So that's why, and so when you, and we probably do a little bit too much on the hugging side and all that stuff, but we really, really love it when people come aboard and get to experience this, even if they're never going to buy a boat, just to get that like glimpse of what this thing called yachting is in a really friendly, fun way is really important. So sometimes I think the firms try to have this like
upmarket image,
totally. But most of the yacht owners are incredibly friendly, very family forward.
I don't think you even know how important this is. A few years ago, I had never really been on boats. I'd never done boating, and it was all like a mystery to me. It was something that happened over there, and I could see it, but I had no idea how you cross into that world, into that arena.
It wouldn't even have occurred to you to try, would it?
No,
Right.
it's just mysterious, and then these barriers, whether they're real or perceived barriers, are really important and critical in stopping people from enjoying something which is just so much fun and so fantastic. So what I'm interested to know is, like, if when you look into the future, you know, a little bit of soothsaying now I'd like from you, what does boating look like in the future? Like, what barriers are there now to stop that happening?
Yeah,
what
I think
things we need to overcome.
That's such a good question. I think so. I try to answer that question and think about it through the eyes of my kids, who are all really small. So we have an 8-year-old, 5, 4, and 2-year-old, and I think about what is it going to be like for them to be on board a boat in the year 2040 something. I don't know. And I think what it's going to be is them enjoying the water in much the same way, but without a lot of the stress.
Okay.
So like even for me right now, when I go out on my little boat, my palms will get sweaty pulling into a marina. I'm probably wearing yellow pants, so people are looking at me, and I'm like, oh, I hope I don't do something stupid. It's just that weird
I thought that
sort
was
of.
just me.
No, it's all of us. Even Nick, he will admit
Really?
that there is
I have
that
moments.
sensation, and you kind of just feel like it's just a weird feeling. So I think in the future, when Rivers, my son, takes his first girlfriend on a date, he'll be able to press a button and the boat will dock itself.
Yeah.
Will that take some of the joy out of it? Maybe. But it'll make it so much more stress-free. If he wants to show off how cool he is, he might dock it himself. But he'll have the option to do that. And there's other things too. I think one of the things that prevents people from getting involved is they get scared of all the lines and the knots. How do you tie up the boat to the dock and the fenders and all that? I think that stuff will go away, and I think it'll be a good thing. And then there's the other stuff, like if you get seasick. I get seasick. I hate going out on a boat when it's rough. It's really embarrassing and it feels terrible. And just the introduction to stabilization and all that stuff is way different now than it was 20 years ago. So you can go out in the boat and be comfortable.
I really like all of that. And the idea of technology guiding your boat in, that is actually brilliant. However, I'm going to make a plea for all of the language and the beautiful old-fashioned terminology to stick. I had to learn what lines meant, where the bow was, and the port. That's just gorgeous. Let's not lose that.
Do you like it? Do you like it, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's gorgeous.
I think also, there's a purpose to it, because, people say, oh, well, why did you say port and starboard? You could just say left and right, and everyone knows what you mean. That's great. I'm looking at the back of the boat here, and my left is over there. If I say to Marianne, I need something from the left, it's over there. If I'm facing that way, left is that way. But the port is always on that side of the boat, and the starboard is always on that side of the boat, and that's the reason we use these terms.
That's very useful. And I grew up in this stuff, and I know the language, and there's part of me that likes it, but it can also be a little annoying, and you attach that pretentious thing to it. When you have a guest the first time on a boat, they say, oh, where's the bathroom? And then there's that really annoying person that has to jump on them and say, no. Let's call it ahead. Galley, kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate it, but I think we should just drop it all. Call it kitchen.
No, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Sorry, Bob.
Call it a bedroom. It's not a stateroom.
Yes, you make all the right decisions, but no, you're wrong here.
Okay.
There's the beauty of the language. We need to hold on to the heritage of boating, but maybe be a bit more flexible. Bathroom, it's fine.
Be more gracious to those.
I think that's the point.
Yeah.
And
dignity in everything.
Yeah.
And I think, to circle back to what you're saying about accessibility for people who don't understand about boating, that, in a nutshell, is what AQUAHOLIC is about. Because I want to put boating in front of people and go, this is what it is. And this is one of the reasons I started doing Meet the Owner, because going back to what you said earlier, I think that there is perception among a lot of people that somebody who's a millionaire and who's got a 50, 60 foot, £2 million boat is probably a snob. He gets driven around in a gold plated carriage wearing a top hat and lighting cigars with £50 notes. And 90% of the time they're ordinary people who've worked hard, done well, been successful, and are enjoying that success. And the thing that I like most when I do the Meet the Owner, and we sit down and speak to these guys about themselves and their boating and all that kind of stuff, because I get comments saying things like, that guy's just an ordinary guy.
Yeah.
And he is. But there is this, I think, and there are people out there who can afford a boat, but they just think that's not for me. I'm not that kind of person. But they are, because it's just normal, successful people having a great time with their friends and their family. And I think that's what I'm trying to get across with the channel. And going back to what you said about the snobbiness of some companies, we've completely found this. I won't mention the name, but
Please do. That would make for good TV, right?
Yeah. Okay.
You want to drop some names?
Yeah, it's Marlo. I contacted Marlo before the show. I said, we're coming to Miami. And I'd just done a Marlo with you guys, funny enough, at Fort Lauderdale. That video had gone up. It had been really successful, and I loved the boat.
Such pretty boats, right?
Yeah, they're gorgeous. And it was a lovely thing. And it was a proper Jimmy Buffett experience. It had the bar shaped like a boat. It was fantastic. I loved it. All the viewers loved it. And so I reached out to Marlo, and I said, listen, I'm coming. I've put this video up, and I sent them a link to it. Said exactly what it is. We're coming to the Miami Boat Show, and we would love to film some of your boats. and I got no reply. And so I emailed again and said, did you get this? And I got email saying, oh, yes, yes, we're not really sure that is in line with our brand ethos and blah, blah, blah. And I emailed back and I said, that's absolutely fine, no problem at all. But just so you know, you're the first person to ever turn down free marketing.
Yep.
And I got an email back going, well, perhaps we could have a meeting at the boat show about it. And I emailed back and said, I'm sorry, I'm there to film boats.
Yep.
And I left it at that. But it's like, I'm offering you to put your boat in front of potentially 1 million people, because that's what we get views sometimes.
Yep.
And yes, 99% of those people will never be able to afford it. But you're here at the show spending £100,000 to show your boats,
right.
and 99% of the people who walk past it also won't be able to afford it, but some will.
Yep, and there's a few things there, and you can bleep the name out later if you decide you don't want to. But Marlowe's are some of my favorite boats ever built.
Yeah, they're great
stunning.
boat.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
They do have that reputation, though, and it's not just for media platforms like what you guys are doing and awesome content with videos and walkthroughs and YouTube, but also with the brokerage community, they can be very difficult to work with. At least they have that reputation, and it starts with that first interaction. Yeah. Saying that, I've gotten to know them, and they are awesome.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Why don't they get that across instead?
Yeah, so
because I'm saying now, thinking, I sold them.
Yep. So no, but it's one of those things. If you actually got to know them, you would love them.
I'm sure you're right.
It's sometimes that first interaction.
First impressions.
And that's what we try so hard. Every person, we hope that you interact with a Denison, whether it's a marketing email like that or a hostess, that you have that like hug kind of a feeling. Yeah. And sometimes in our industry, it's hard to pull that off.
Yeah. And I don't want to pick on Marlo because I just mentioned it because it just happened just before the show. But I've had that from. There's another brokerage here I contacted, and there was so much fanning around, it didn't come to anything.
Yep.
And the broker that I'd originally spoken to about it was really keen for me to do stuff.
Yep.
And he actually said that somebody in their marketing department had said, oh, we're here to sell boats, not to further their livelihood.
Yeah, right.
Well, you're showing boats to people. I can show them to 10 times as many people, and it baffles me. But there is this perception, oh, it's just the internet, it's just YouTube, as though rich people don't watch that stuff. What do they think they're watching?
Oh no, we've sold not just one, not just two, but dozens of boats through social media, for sure through YouTube. Yeah. The broker on this boat specifically has met several people that have bought very, very big boats from that platform. And I think that whole thing of like, I don't care how big your audience is, it's mostly non-yacht buyers. Yeah. Like, there's certainly probably this, I think to your point, the same percentage of people that are not yacht buyers here that we're still, and who cares? Like at the end of the day, who cares? So there's some kid or some person that can't afford to buy the boat that's spending 10, 15 minutes going and just providing joy for that person. Yeah. To just say, hey, I'm learning something new, or I'd like to fantasize for a minute about what. Yeah. Who cares if will it cost that boat or that brand or that broker a single penny just to give you access to the. Exactly.
And Elon Musk once upon a time was a little kid in his bedroom dreaming about buying a McLaren or whatever.
Yep. Exactly.
Which he eventually bought.
And I just last night on my way home from Miami to Fort Lauderdale, where I live, I called some brokers and clients. Our very, very best, my single favorite client in the world, who's built and bought many huge, huge boats. I just was talking to him, and he shared with me, and I didn't know this, that as a kid they didn't have any money at all, but they grew up here in Florida, and his dad would take him out on these little boats, and I think we've actually talked about this before. It doesn't matter how small or big of a boat you are on. Just that getting out there on the water thing. It doesn't. It's just like there's something about it. I always say it's like wherever my cell phone is. A boat's a place you lose your cell phone more often than you would anywhere else. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how big or small it is. And that, I think in yacht ownership or boat ownership, there's that common kind of like appreciation for the nonsense of buying, because buying a boat's a terrible investment.
Of course it is.
There couldn't be a worse way, because it's a ton of money, it depreciates, and it keeps costing money.
I know. And what it always makes me laugh when I get comments sometimes on the videos, and it's normally from non-boat people going, £1 million for that. You could buy 5 houses and you could rent them out, you could have an income. Well, yeah, you could, and you could make yourself the richest man in the graveyard. Right. Why not have some fun? And actually, the guy who's buying his boats probably already has the 5 houses and has them rented out, and that's why he's buying the boat. Yep. But you've got to waste a bit of money somewhere.
100%. And there's also crazy people that will take all their money and spend it on that life experience of being, and it might not be a boat, it could be something else, but that passionate, life is short, I want to connect with the people around me in a special, unique way. Boating does that, much like skiing would, or golf and all that stuff. But it's just a neat kind of, and I think that's one of the things COVID did. It was like the appreciation of now.
Yes,
like I'm going to do something. I'm not going to wait till I'm a little older and a little richer and a little whatever,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. Let's do that crazy, stupid financial decision and
Yeah.
splurge on
Brought
this
that into focus for a lot of
for the
people.
moment
Yeah.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it was sports cars.
Yep.
It was boats.
Yep.
It was motorhomes. It was all that stuff, and particularly stuff that people could sort of do on their own.
Yep.
You know, and people who were spending money on flying somewhere and staying in an expensive resort and things
Right.
were thinking, do you know what, we could put this money into a boat.
Yep.
And we could have it in where, you know, we're not going to be stopped from going to it because people had perhaps an expensive holiday home somewhere and
Right.
they couldn't get to it. And I think the whole flexibility that brought it into sharp focus for a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's this thing you do with the people you love and the people you want to spend time with, and
Which
it's the
leads me
best.
beautifully to my next question,
Yes.
which is, and don't overthink this at all.
Okay.
Dream day out on a boat looks like what? Go.
It would definitely be with my wife, Danny, and our kids, and we would be probably somewhere in the Bahamas, which I love. It's really close by. It's like 45 minutes that way,
Wow.
depending on the speed, or not 45 minutes, 2 hours that way by boat. And just the second you get there, you feel like you're someplace different. Like, you know when you travel, that exciting feeling when you get off the plane and you don't recognize the streets
Yeah.
and
You're
the
abroad.
signs look different.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the air smells, it's like you're in a special, new, different place. For me, that's the Bahamas. Like
Are you
the-
on anchor messing around in the water, or are you on,
I am at anchor. I love a little place, and down here it's a little cliche, but there's a little abandoned island called Honeymoon Harbor where the stingrays come up and some sharks come up, and there's porpoises. There's enough sand to play with the kids and throw the football, and it's so easy to get to, and it's so fun. And the water is like an aquarium, like
Wow,
crystal
sounds
clear,
gorgeous.
and it's just the best. And you have some music on, and just get lost in the day, and you forget your phone, and you realize it's 4 o'clock when you thought it was, you know, whatever o'clock, and it's just that magic. Like, I want to do that again and again and again, kind of a
Beautiful.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the Bob Denison dream boat money note? This is a question I get asked all the time. If you
Yep.
had all the money in the world, what would you buy?
I would buy, I love boats like this. This is a perfect time to plug this boat, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah, this is a
Fabulous
gorgeous boat.
It would be a boat like this. It's a 139-foot Abbey King and Rasmussen that was restored by a yard here in America called Delta. My grandparents and parents and uncles built Browards, and I would love to restore or buy an old Broward that was restored.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's aluminum built, very American looking, and I would love to, and I think I might one day do that. And it would just be a neat thing to have that part of our family sort of continued.
Yeah.
And the thing about Browards, they're much like this boat. They're very livable, easy. You feel like you can just relax here, grab a drink or a coffee, and just talk to somebody like you were in that special place. So that would be it for me.
Gorgeous. gorgeous.
And on your Broward,
Yes.
you can have, okay, you've got your wife, you've got your kids, all taken as read, but you can have 6 perfect guests,
Oh my gosh.
dead or alive,
Dead or
anyone you
alive.
like. We will summon them from the afterlife, and they'll be sat down with you for a meal in the saloon. Who's it going to be?
How? You should have just said, okay, so now I've got to pick really, and this is going to reflect
Yes,
the
it is.
depth of me. So
Yeah.
you can't be like, oh, it would be Don Johnson or somebody. No offense, it wouldn't be Don Johnson, but it would have to be a historical.
Oh, it could be whoever you like. The
Okay.
people you want,
Yeah.
the people you just want to hang out and chill with.
for
sh-
one dinner party.
For
Yeah.
one dinner party,
One
a
dinner party.
collection of awesome people.
Yeah.
All right.
Go.
And I don't have to say you guys, right?
No, no.
Okay,
no.
okay.
Christ no.
You guys, if it was
We're
like,
busy.
if it was like 20 people, you'd make that list.
Thank you.
But
Okay, you're very
6,
kind.
yeah,
Yep.
that's pretty good.
That's
You're
a
very
very,
sweet.
very tight list.
10 maybe, but 6 no. So
fair
6
enough.
would be, I would definitely, it would have to be, I'm a huge history guy.
Yeah.
So I'd love Theodore Roosevelt would be on that list for sure.
Okay.
Winston Churchill would be on that list for sure.
Yeah, good one.
And again, I'm a
Argumentative.
history buff. Yeah, he would be, people like that bring great perspective and both of them are great conversationalists. And then I would have I'd have somebody from my favorite band, Weezer. Rivers Cuomo would be there. Do you guys know Weezer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
excellent.
yeah. No,
really
yeah.
dig that person. Keep going.
No, you're being sarcastic. You're being sarcastic. Okay. And then it would be some of my favorite people that are just here with me now that like just tend to make me happy and smart. It would be people like Ryan Alexander would be on that list for sure. And then it would be my other friends. It'd be my brother Eddie, my parents. Is that 6?
That's 7. You're gonna have only one parent
Okay,
there.
so I'm
just
dropping,
Don't drop your mother, child. Just,
or my
just-
dad. I think I got to drop my brother. No, you know what? I'm going to drop Rivers Cuomo.
Okay.
He's out, but
You
he'll,
sure?
yeah, he's top 10. But so it'd be my brother, my little brother, my mom, my dad, Winston Churchill, Theodore Roosevelt. Who was the other one I said?
the music person.
Yeah, band.
Okay, dropping. Okay, and then I'll bring Eddie, my little brother. I don't know.
Alright.
Yeah.
Is that 6?
That'll
That's
do.
fine. You know, if there's an extra one, we'll just squeeze in a little chair.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Oh no, I
so-
said Ryan Alexander.
Yeah.
That was it. All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Can you guys can you name one
One what?
that you would? Yeah, I'm not gonna. It would do too long if you each did 6. But who would be?
Oh
the one
yeah.
or two?
No, I'll tell you. I can tell you exactly who I would have. Jimmy Buffett.
Okay.
I mean, the experiences and the life that guy's had, unbelievable. And he just seems like a really cool guy.
Would you make him play for you at the party, or would he just hang out?
No,
Okay.
just hang out with him.
Yeah.
Just want to hang out with the guy.
Okay.
Jeremy Clarkson. Do you know
Okay.
Jeremy Clarkson?
Yep, of
Again, is a guy who's lived and lived and
Yep.
lived and lived. He's lived 10 lives.
Yep.
You know, the stuff he's done, love him or hate him, is unbelievable. Who else would we have?
I know exactly who I'd have.
Go
Just
on.
one person, but as nobody else is invited, I would have Ernest Shackleton.
Okay.
You
Love
know what
it.
I mean?
Yes, of course.
Excellent. I would have him clearly, and we would have a big long chat about all this exploration and endurance and boats and Elephant Island, the whole show.
Endurance is one of my top 10 favorite books, and I just read it like 2 years ago. You guys read
Just
it?
what a story.
And they found the boat. They just found it.
They
Incredible.
did, just found it last October.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And the thing when they landed on, was it Elephant Island, and then he left all those people there, and then he went up over an unclimbed mountain and it took about another 50 years before anybody managed to get over that mountain.
So just be
Wow.
him.
Him and two, that's all I would.
That's a little weird. She has to. She has a crush on a dead guy. Is that okay with you?
I'd rather.
Better than a lot. Yeah. Okay.
He just
That's
rolls
true.
with the punches. Yeah. It's easier for him. Now, so I'm very, very keen on polar exploration. Love all of that. So my next question for you, sorry if you had one, but
No.
form a line. Okay, so again, we want a very instantaneous reaction here.
Yep.
I'm going to send you to Europe, but obviously Europe for you.
Yeah.
And you get to choose one of these two holidays. You get either sailing through the Med around the Greek islands,
Okay.
or you get to go fjord spotting, beluga whale spotting.
Fjord spotting.
Thank you.
Fjord
Thank
spotting.
you. Excellent.
Are you not the fjord spotting guy? You're the med.
I'm
and
the guy in the med with my feet
Okay.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I've slipped him a couple of vodkas, let him have a snooze, and I take the boat north.
So here's
Here's
the weird.
plan.
Here's the weird thing, though. I have never, ever. I've been out on the water maybe I don't know how many times, thousands and thousands of times. I've never seen a whale, ever. So that would be extremely exciting.
Yeah, it would just be wonderful. I've never seen a whale either.
Have you guys ever seen a whale?
I saw something that was probably a whale landing back in the water. That's the
Okay.
closest I've got. Doesn't
Well, was it like a flying whale? Was it
Yeah, what
coming
is
in and
that?
like touching down?
How much did you have to drink that day?
Well, routinely
Landing
quite
back in the
low.
water. Jesus
No,
Christ,
I
is
saw
that right?
I saw a whale. When I dive off the boat and there's like this massive,
It is spectacular.
it is like
Marianne-
a whale landing.
Marianne doesn't understand, literally cannot understand the concept that they're jumping up and forward and coming down like that.
Right.
She just launches herself into the air and plummets.
But is it to
hilarious.
draw attention? Is it trying to be funny, or is it?
She just can't. We're saying you just arc yourself,
Yeah.
head down.
It's a mental block.
The comprehension of that is
Right.
completely beyond her.
Okay.
Just think though about kind of the bow wave that's generated by that. Now
Yep.
increase that significantly, and that's what I saw. And I think that was surely a whale coming back down.
Breaching.
I've never, ever in my life been in the water in the UK.
Okay.
This is
It's
a
chilly.
weird.
You've been in the water here with the alligators or crocodiles or whatever they are.
Yeah, well, they're not in the ocean. They're mostly in the Everglades.
Okay,
But this is the
all
thing
right.
that, because you're talking about jumping in the water in Wales.
Yeah.
I have a horrific fear of sharks.
Right.
Do you guys ever see sharks when you go in the water in the UK?
It's
No.
basically you could walk across the surface. There are that many of them.
She's lying to you.
Okay. So
No, there's no
so you
sharks.
don't. Oh, okay, because that's one of the
No.
things that is terrifying for me.
No, you'd be so safe. You'd
Yeah.
be cold, but you'd be safe
Yeah.
Okay.
in
Yeah.
British waters.
Yeah.
For sure.
You'd be more concerned about things shriveling up than what the shark was going to
Okay,
do.
gotcha. I'll bow to your better knowledge on this.
Yeah, there'll be virtually
You're
nothing there.
completely safe. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're fine.
Yeah.
I don't have any more questions,
No,
but
I
I can
think we're
dream
done.
some up. But
Yeah, no, I think that's marvellous.
Thank you guys.
It
That was
didn't
fun.
make you cry.
Again, my services are. my feelings are at the surface. So if you want to try to make me cry, go for it. Do you have a?
No, I just like the idea that you're kind of sobbing
Okay.
inside, hoping
Okay,
it ends
cool.
soon. That'll do for me.
Yeah.
She's quite
It'll come
sadistic
out.
in reality.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Brilliant. Bob, that's been fantastic.
Nick.
Thank you so much for this
Appreciate it.
and for everything.
Thank
We
you.
really
Thank you.
appreciate
You
it.
guys have been such awesome friends.
It's been a pleasure.
No, but this is. I hope. Am I closing it now?
Yeah,
You
I think
are.
so.
Wrap it
I'm
up,
closing
please.
now. But this is for those of you that haven't met them, they're so fun. And like if you've ever wondered what it's like to hang out with them, it's way better than you would ever imagine. They're so cool and fun. When we had dinner that night, my wife and I were going home, and we were like, life is short, and it's so great to know awesome people and to laugh and have fun conversations with great. Like nothing's better. So thank you guys.
You were very, very kind.
You are the
Absolutely
nicest
right.
man in the world.
It's true. It's true. Me too. I'm also I'm also really nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
Bob.
Thank you
you,
guys
Nick.
so much.
Thank you.
It was
It's a
fun.
pleasure.
Appreciate it.